if you are trying to use Jira REST API and you're trying to do something with the API by probably linking it to a different tool, or maybe you are trying to do some integration where you want to create an issue in Jira. Now, I encountered this question last week where there was one person who was asking that I'm trying to create an issue, but I get this error that the field is not set on the screen. And it is a very simple and very, very common question, but the answer is actually is quite straightforward. If you're trying to do something with the REST API, the way it works is not that different from your Jira UI. So if you are, let us say, trying to create an issue and you're trying to, of course, set a field, then that particular field should be present on the screen. So let us say if you are creating, let us say, a bug, and there is a field called as steps to reproduce. So that particular field should be there on your issue type screen, or any screen that you're using for that particular type of issue, let us say bug in this case. So even if you're trying to use REST API, you need to make sure that the screens are configured properly with the fields that you want to update. The second question is about making some reports for higher management without giving them access to the updation of issues in Jira. So it is probably one of the most commonly asked question on the community. And in fact, if you are a new Jira administrator, or maybe you are just using Jira in your company, maybe you are a manager, I'm sure you want to use it for tracking and planning your work, but you also want to do some reporting out of it for for doing some useful analysis or making some decisions. And when it comes to reporting, people who will be looking at the reports, they may not need access on the project. So for doing this for solving this particular problem, where you want to give access to, let us say, some set of people, maybe they are management people, they just want to look at the reports and they won't be doing anything else apart from just looking at it. What you can do, you can actually create a project role called as management, for example, and let your project administrator manage the people he or she wants to add in that particular role. Now, the advantage of using role is that your project administrator, they are usually your project leads or project managers, they can manage their own team. So they won't be bothering your Jira administrator for adding people to that particular role or maybe a group. You can also use a group in Jira, but using a project role is slightly better in situation where the list or the team members will change regularly. So when you create this new role called as management, modify your permission scheme, and there is a permission called as browse project. So just add or just give this browse project permission to your management role. And once you do that, and once people are added to that particular role called management, those people will be able to take a look at the project uh, issues, the data itself. But if you don't give them any other permission like create issue, edit issues, they won't be able to do anything else. So if you are just interested in giving read only access to your higher management people, I think you should be using this approach. This is, of course, one way of doing it, where you can create a separate role and then modify your permission scheme. And again, when you're talking about when you work with permission schemes, make sure that you're following standards. Don't create permission schemes that are separate for each project, and it is not only applicable for permissions, but in fact for most of the configurations and most of the schemes in Jira. And finally, I want to talk about a new app that I reviewed recently, and the app is called Smart Issues Templates for Jira. And using this app, what you can do when you create a new issue, when you click on the create button, you have the option to, of course, fill up the details. You have, of course, the option to basically populate different fields manually. You can fill in your summary, you can fill in your description, and maybe 10 different fields. So using this app, what you can do, you can actually create templates for quickly creating your issues. So what you can do with the help of this app, when you are able to, when you create basically an issue, it will give you an option on top that pre-fill this particular form using a template, and you can create multiple templates. Let us say you have a template where you just want to populate your summary, or maybe you want to populate your summary and assignee, or maybe a description. And you can, as I mentioned, you can create multiple templates, but at the same time you can also share your templates if you want. So maybe you have some templates that are common for everyone, or maybe you can probably create your own template for your own personal use. And the reason I liked this app is because filling up those forms whenever you're trying to raise an issue or doing something in Jira on a regular basis, I can imagine that it can be a bit cumbersome to fill up those fields. And in most cases, or I should say that in majority of cases, the information usually remains the same. Maybe you want to create an issue, and you know the person who will be working on that particular issue will remain the same. Or maybe you want to populate maybe 5 out of 10 fields that will never change. So you can always create your own template, and it will really make your life a lot easier. So this is one app called Smart Issues Templates that I highly recommend you to take a look. If you go to my channel, uh, YouTube channel, you can also find a review of this app that I did recently. So this is all I wanted to share in this podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. Thank you very much.